Hello, my friends. So first I want to say what a pleasure it was meeting everyone during our first class session. During that session, it was clear that exactly how lab is going to work with the pre-labs and the lab quizzes was not entirely clear. So I wanted to make this video to make sure that there was no confusion as to how exactly lab is going to work. I also was made aware that some of you do not yet have access to a lab manual and a textbook, and I've tried to address that as well, and I will discuss that in this video as well. Anything that I omitted, or if there are other challenges that I did not address, please bring those to my attention. You can send me an email or you can call at 608-246-6843. I am happy to speak with you by phone. I just want to make sure everyone starts off on the right foot because as I said in class, students who start well end well. So let's make sure everyone understands where to access all the content on Blackboard. You will always go to weekly modules, start here. During class, I'll change that to student view. During class, I went over the preparing for success in anatomy and physiology. Those are the list of tasks that you should have completed before the first day of class. If you haven't, please complete those as soon as possible. Reading your syllabus, ordering your textbooks, Quizlet, text message reminders, completing the Getting to Know You survey, and the reading assignment. Now for class, I had expected to actually start covering the material from chapter 1. So I asked you to read pages in chapter 1 all the way up to homeostasis, which I figured I would start on next Monday. However, we never got to the content. So for next Monday, if you haven't already read those pages in your textbook, please do so, but also add to that homeostasis because we will start and hopefully complete homeostasis on Monday. So basically, you should read chapter 1 through homeostasis by Monday. All right, so week 1. This is your week 1 folder. Every week, there'll be a different folder, which will have all the materials for that week in it. Every week you will have a lab, so expect a lab folder in each week. For the first week of class, you were to have completed lab number 1. Now, we have in-person labs. However, for this first week, you have an online lab, and that is because, number 1, you really don't need access to a lab to study the material from lab 1, and also we didn't have class on Monday, and so those of you who have lab on Monday wouldn't have access to the lab. So for this lab and this lab only, the lab is completely online. To access the materials for each lab, click on the lab. First thing you'll see is online lab orientation to the human body. Click on that, and then that will take you to the online lab for week 1. For those of you who do not have a lab manual because you're trying still to obtain it, I was able to get a digital copy of the lab manual, and so I extracted the pages from that lab manual through lab number 2. So this PDF file here contains the pages from the lab manual for this week's lab, orientation to human body, and also pages for next week's lab, which is on the axial skeleton. So hopefully you'll be able to obtain your lab manual by the end of next week. If not, I can always extract pages for lab number 3. Just let me know in class. So after you complete this online lab, which you should complete by Friday at midnight, I'm going to go back to the week 1 folder. So if you look, I said complete the online lab by Friday, January 21st. So please have that done by Friday at midnight to get full credit. Then go and use your Quizlet to practice the material. Now, every week following lab, you will have to complete a lab quiz that covers the material from that lab. You are expected to complete that lab quiz by midnight of the day that precedes your lab. So for those of you who have lab on Monday of next week, that will be January 24th, you are expected to have completed that lab quiz by Sunday, January 23rd at midnight. That gives me enough time to grade those quizzes and to talk about the results of those quizzes in lab on Monday. For those of you who have lab on Wednesday, you are to complete the lab quiz by Tuesday at midnight for the exact same reasons, so that I can address any challenges that you're having with the material per that lab quiz when we meet on Wednesday. So every week you should complete a quiz midnight of the day that precedes your lab. It will cover the material from the previous week. Now, you may ask the question, where do I access those quizzes? Well, if you come over here to the main menu of Blackboard and click on quizzes, you'll see it right there. Right? So for those of you who have lab on Monday, you must complete this quiz by Sunday at midnight. Those of you who have lab on Wednesday, you must complete this quiz by Tuesday at midnight. Hopefully that is clear now. I handed out the slides for the first day of class in class, but for those of you who weren't able to attend class, or if you ever lose those slides, here they're posted here on the first day of class. Now, originally, I had the slides on chapter 1 also under week 1 because I thought we were going to actually start chapter 1 on Wednesday, but we just didn't get a chance. I talked too much and we never got there. So I moved them to week 2 because that's where we're going to start our discussion on chapter 1. So let's look under week 2. So here are the chapter 1 slides here. So if we click on that, here's the study guide that I handed out in class, and here are the slides. For those of you who do not yet have your textbook, here is a digital copy of the pages from chapter 1. So everything that you need to read for Monday's class is here, for those of you who do not have a textbook yet. Now you'll also be having a lab next week, of course. You will have a pre-lab that you should complete before each lab. You didn't have a pre-lab week 1 because your lab was online. So that is your pre-lab and lab, right? It was all online. Moving forward, you will have a pre-lab that is pretty much just like your online lab, and that will need to be completed before you walk into lab. So For those of you who have lab next Monday, we're going to be covering the axial skeleton. You should complete the pre-lab before you walk into class. It doesn't matter if you completed it today when you're watching this video, or if you complete it 5 minutes before you walk into lab. It just has to be completed before you walk into your lab. The whole idea of a pre-lab is it is done before lab. The purpose of the pre-lab is to provide you with the information that you need to efficiently work in lab. So in other words, when you walk in the lab, you shouldn't be seeing this material for the first time. And again, if you don't yet have your lab manual, here's a digital copy of the lab manual through the axial skeleton. I'm going to go back one. So after you complete the pre-lab, then you'll attend lab either on Monday or Wednesday, and then again there'll be a quiz made available after lab that you have to complete midnight of the day that precedes your next lab. So you'll have another quiz that opens covering next week's lab that will be due Sunday, January 30th. That's before your week 3 lab, and Tuesday, February 1st, that will precede your Wednesday, February 2nd lab. We'll start chapter 1 next week. We didn't get to it this week. We'll start chapter 1 next week. And so I placed your, I think I mentioned this. I placed your study guide here and your slides there. So hopefully I have addressed most of the questions and concerns that were raised during our first day of class. I don't want anyone confused. I want everyone to start the semester strong and confident and feeling supported, and that you have an instructor that cares and will address your concerns. And that's what I have attempted to do in this video. If there is anything that I have omitted, if you have any questions, if there is anything that is not clear, please do reach out to me. Thank you and have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you online and on Monday.